was on this.
I am here.
No.
Not, was it been good though?
It has been.
I'll be here
So you're busy as you want to
got babies.
I mean, like you're
I know.
finding stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A week and a half.
Fill an agenda today.
Babysitting for my baby or?
No.
I only have
good.
babysitting one night. My son and daughter-in-law. Shooting green wolves.
I always thought that was fun. Really?
You have it.
When the kids are grown up.
No, but you do research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've liked mine.
Because you know you don't have.
I thought you did.
Yeah.
You know.
It's good.
They say that's the role of a good uncle.
Agenda.
Yeah.
They
Have
say
it just
it's
before you pass. Yeah, just sugared up really good.
Kind of keep track.
September. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, calling the Planning Commission regular session meeting to order for Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. Secretary, please call the roll.
Nadelman,
Here.
Franze,
Here.
McGurran,
Here.
Belzer,
Absent.
Block,
Here.
Stevens,
Here.
Carlberg,
Here?
Fishman,
Here.
Coleman.
Here. We do have a quorum this evening. Would like to point out on the agenda, a revised agenda was on the dais when we arrived. Want to make sure everyone sees that. Any other additions to the revised agenda, or we're good?
No, the revised agenda on the dais this evening is the correct one that we'll be working off of.
Okay, great, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Block.
I move for approval of the revised agenda.
Second?
Second, Commissioner Carlberg. All in favor of approving tonight's revised agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Tonight's agenda is approved. It brings us to the minutes. We have two sets of minutes this evening for work session on July 8th and a regular session meeting on July 22nd. Are there any additions or revisions to the July 8th meeting minutes? Okay. Have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Black.
I move for approval of the minutes from the work session on July 8th, 2025.
Second.
Commissioner McGurran, second. All in favor of approving the minutes for July 8th, 2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting minutes are passed for July 8th. That brings us to the second set of minutes for the regular session meeting on July 22nd, 2025. Any revisions or additions to this set of minutes?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Block.
I move for approval of the minutes from the July 22nd, 2025 regular session.
Thank you, Commissioner Block.
Second?
Second, Commissioner Carlberg. All in favor of approving the minutes for July 22nd, 2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting minutes for July 22nd, 2025 are approved. That brings us up to the continued business. Two cases are continued to our September 30th, 2025 meeting. Case 4725, Chadwick Place, Villas of Chadwick, and case 7225, Mission West, mixed use. Next up is the consent agenda. We have one case on the consent agenda. Was any commissioners like to pull this from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Block?
I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Block.
Second.
Commissioner McGurran. All in favor of approving tonight's consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consent agenda is approved. Brings us up to new business. Commission calls case 4625, City of Leawood, 2026-2030 Capital Improvement Program. Review of the 2026-2030 Capital Improvement Program and finding that it is in conformity with the City of Leawood Comprehensive Plan. I understand we have a special guest tonight. Jana Rapper from the Finance Department is going to come forward and present.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jana Raper. I'm the Assistant Finance Director here at the City of Leawood. And every year we are tasked with coming up with a capital improvements program. That's a collaborative effort across the Budget and Finance Committee and lots of staff members across the city. And then we present that to the Planning Commission so you can affirm that it is in compliance or conformity with the comprehensive plan. So I'm just going to lead us through a very brief presentation of an overview of the CIP. You should have received the document in its entirety in your packet, and please feel free to jump in with any questions you may have. So just to reiterate, the Planning Commission's responsibility this evening is to have reviewed the CIP and determine if the proposed improvements outlined in it are subject to the recommendation of the Leawood Comprehensive Plan, and if so, make a finding as to whether the improvements are in conformity with the comprehensive plan. Very quickly, what is CIP? Our capital improvement program is for any projects the way we anticipate the expenditures, so the cost exceeding $250,000. Typical kinds of projects would be for new facilities or construction or reconstruction of streets, stormwater infrastructure, or just major rehabilitation of those kinds of assets. This includes a 5-year plan of our expected revenue and proceeds as well as expenses for those projects. And this is more of for the budgeting angle of things, but these are not considered budgeted funds from a state perspective, so that's why we have to present the plan to you and then ultimately to the governing body to get approval for that, so that gives us the opportunity as a city to spend the upcoming 5 years and allows us to plan accordingly. This is just a real brief slide that shows our planned spending for the current year and the next 5 years. As a whole, we tend to spend around $35 to $45 million a year, and a lot of the spending is on streets, which is signified by green. And occasionally we have some purple in there for a pretty big amount, which would be in 2027 would be a placeholder at this point for Fire Station 4, should that come to fruition. Really just want to outline some of the projects that are new to the CIP for the 26 through 30 CIP. One big one is $8,093,000 for the Facility Conservation Improvement Program, the FCIP, which entails just working with an organization to help us find opportunities to save, invest now in order to save on energy costs in the future. We added a project for City Hall parking lot improvements at Public Works Maintenance Facility on the parking lot, and replacing the siding on the lodge at Ironwoods Park. Few projects that are new to the CIP related to Iron Horse Golf Club. Replacement of the entire irrigation system. Originally that was on last year's CIP as a replacement for the irrigation heads only, but that has been changed this year for $3.7 million approximately estimated for complete replacement of the irrigation system. Also added some needed projects to Iron Horse for combating erosion around 15, as well as working with the catch basins, a renovation of the bunkers, shooting for 2027 for that, and another project to address creek bank erosion on another part of the course. Then we added some projects to the CIP that really were already budgeted, but because of the projected costs are now officially part of the CIP document, We are hoping to upgrade the audiovisual equipment here in the chambers, remodel the restrooms in City Hall, and there were several smaller projects identified as needed to be worked on at the Public Works Maintenance Facility that combined exceed the $250,000 threshold to be on the CIP, so we just combined those into one overall renovation project. And really, I'm going to conclude with just a reminder that the purpose for bringing this before you, the Planning Commission, is to affirm if it is in conformity with the comprehensive plan. Are there any questions? It says Dawn, who is our finance director, but I am also happy to try to entertain any questions you may have for us.
Okay, thank you very much. I also wanted to note in the back corner are all the department heads as well, and the city administrator is here. So if anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask them while we have everyone in the room. So does the commission have any questions for staff? Commissioner Carlberg.
On the facility capital improvement plan that's going to save energy, how is that contract put together? Is that something where we put out the money and they install the stuff, or do they take a part of the savings that we generate? Because I've seen both kinds of contracts like that.
I am going to let Dawn or someone speak to that who is more knowledgeable than I.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was trying to avoid coming up here, so, no. So the way this...
I'm sorry, before you start,
No,
can
I'm
you
sorry.
state your name?
Don Cobby, Finance Director. The Conservation Improvement Program that we put together is using the state's program through the Kansas Corporations Commission's office. And the way that works is we can finance it however we want, but the program is everything has to have a payback within a certain acceptable number of years, given the improvement, and then those are signed off by the state. We are actually splitting this in two pieces, pieces that are very quick payback, 8 to 10 year time frame, group those together, and then we're actually doing another piece for some things that need to be done, and a big one is our controls in our facilities. You're doing all this without putting controls in. It doesn't buy you a whole lot, and ours are pretty dated, mostly not original, but older. So we're putting those together. We are putting some capital towards this project as well. From the savings, we anticipate projects we had budgeted in the CIP, taking that money out, paying it down, and we're hoping, if they still exist, there's some conservation rebates, tax rebates that cities now can get tax credits directly instead of having to go through a third party. So we're taking those pieces as well and then financing the rest. However, it seems most appropriate next year when we do bonds.
It's nice to see us paying attention to that. I think that'll be a good thing for us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think given where energy costs are projected, I think it really will pay for itself
It'll be a
pretty
competitive
quickly.
advantage for us. Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Block.
There were just a couple sheets that I noticed that didn't have descriptions. There's, the box that says about the project. I found 3 or 4 of them. I don't know if that's just something that needs to maybe be cleaned up before it goes to the governing body. But all of them seem to have descriptions and a design year and stuff, and then there were 3 or 4 of them that just were blank, and I don't know if that was just my copy or what. But
Thank you. Yeah, there were some later submissions that we didn't get all of that shored up, so appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? I had a question on the AV equipment. It looks like it was slated for this year. Is it still going to be this year?
I believe it is.
Hello, Stephen Powell, Assistant City Administrator, and yes, we're working with a vendor now to get a scope designed and get pricing and hopefully take that to the governing body before the end of the year to get the money under contract, and it might actually be the first part of next year before the work's actually completed. But it would entail replacing all the audio-visual equipment in the room to provide for better broadcast to the public, better audio in the room, and to make it easier for staff to control all the equipment from this room.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Powell.
Welcome.
Two more questions. On page 21, it talks about the fire station number 4. It says that it's city property owned land south of the Justice Center. I assume that it's supposed to be northwest of the Justice Center, unless there's some other parcel that we own.
Hi, David Light, Public Works Director. So the proposed site for Fire Station 4 is on the south side of the Justice Center. The city owns that tract that's between
okay.
the Justice Center and Waterway.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking of the site over here. Okay, thank you. One additional question on page 111, it referenced stoplight at College and Row, and I didn't know there's an ongoing water leakage or seepage on the northwest corner of that. It's probably in Overland Park. I don't think that's part of Leawood.
That is Overland Park. It's
Okay.
Water One, and it's the fire line that's serving one of those buildings up there. So fire lines are private. They're not owned by Water One, and so Water One is working with that property owner to have that water line repaired.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it just keeps getting worse. The pavement.
It's been going on for 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
I know. Very aware of that. Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Block?
I move for approval of case 4625, City of Leawood 2025-2030 Capital Improvement Program.
Commissioner Block?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Nadelman. All in favor of approving case number 4625, Capital Improvement Programs for 2026-2030, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Case is approved and sent to the governing body. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you for all the department heads for coming late and staying as well.
Thank you.
And that brings us to case 8225, Leawood Shops, Leawood Wine and Spirits. Request for approval of a special use permit, packaged liquor sales, located south of Somerset Drive and west of Lee Boulevard. And that looks like Ms. Ewing, that's your case. Please go ahead and present.
Thank you. Cameron Ewing, Planner 1. This is case number 82-25, Leawood Wine and Spirits Special Use Permit. The applicant is requesting approval of a special use permit for the use of packaged liquor sales for Leawood Wine and Spirits under new ownership. Leawood Wine and Spirits is an existing retail establishment within the Leawood Shops development located south of Somerset Drive and west of Lee Boulevard. The name of the business is not proposed to change with this application. The applicant has indicated that they would continue to use the existing name as a DBA under a new LLC. Leawood Wine and Spirits received approval of a special use permit for packaged liquor sales and approval of a final plan with case number 61-22. So this business began operating in 2023 as a wine and spirits retailer, providing for sale alcoholic beverages which are to be consumed off-site. The Kansas Liquor Control Act regulates the location of retail liquor stores. Among these regulations is a provision restricting the establishment of retail liquor stores within 200 feet of a school, college, or church. Leawood Wine and Spirits is not in violation of this act. Since this application is requesting approval of a special use permit for packaged liquor sales, staff has reviewed the application with respect to the golden factors. All criteria have been addressed and an analysis has been included in your packet. And then the applicant did hold their Interact meeting on August 5th, 2025. There were no attendees from the public, and a summary has been included in your packet as well. And with that, staff recommends approval of case 82-25 with the 10 stipulations listed in the report, and I can answer questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ewing. Any questions for staff? One question from me. Was the original SUP for 20 years as well?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no further questions for staff, I'll invite the applicant to come forward. Sir, welcome. Please state your name and then business address for our record, please.
Yes, good evening. Brandon Myers. Our LLC address is 3604 West 85th Street, Leawood, Kansas 66206. I'm here with my wife, Amanda Myers. We are the proposed buyers of Leawood Wine and Spirits. We also have with us Cameron and Casey Heck, who are the current owners. Just wanted to confirm that we are looking to purchase the existing business. We do not have any plans in place for any redevelopments, any major overhauls. We are simply looking for a change in ownership. We want to continue to be good stewards of the neighborhood and contribute to the city. So happy to answer any questions and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Block.
You might have already answered or said this in your remarks, but this is the floor plan that we see is what it will be. You're saying you're not going to change that?
That's correct.
I guess I was just thinking back a couple years ago. I thought when we saw this, it had some kind of a tasting room or something, but maybe I'm getting it confused with something nearby.
We call
I
a
thought it was. Go ahead.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
We refer to the tasting room. It's at the very back of the store. Not so much a room, but a kind of a table, if you will.
I think we had a lot of discussion about that when this was before us before, so I assume that continues then?
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This case does require a public hearing. I will open up the public hearing, invite the public to come up and speak. Each participant will get 4 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak on case 8225?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Block.
Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Franze. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Public hearing is closed. Brings us to discussion. Any commissioners would like to discuss case 8225?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Block.
I just remember it being a long discussion the first time, and I guess, not hearing it, that there were any issues or problems, to this point. I mean, I think that's encouraging and reason for me to vote to approve to start the SUP over again with the new owners.
Thank you, Commissioner Block. I'll tag on to that. I do remember the long discussion on this one, and glad to see it's still in business, and glad to see that it's being segued to another owner, even though after only 2 years.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Fishman.
I am a customer of that store, and I've enjoyed shopping there, and I think that the store serves the community very, very well. And I look forward to the new owners running the store just as well and with a positive attitude and, just an uplifting place to be as Cameron and his wife have done. And so I congratulate them for selling their store, and I wish them well.
Thank you, Commissioner Fishman. Any other comments or discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Block.
I move for approval of case 8225, Leawood Shops, Leawood Wine and Spirits. Request for approval of a special use permit liquor sales located at Somerset Drive and west of Lee Boulevard.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Black. Second, Commissioner Fishman. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor of approving case 8225, Leawood Shops, Leawood Wine and Spirits, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Case 8225 is approved and sent to the governing body. That brings us to case 5525, East Village, the Elizabeth Active Adult Community. Request for approval of a final plan and final plat located north of 135th Street and west of State Line Road. Ms. Mueller, is that yours?
It is.
Okay, please proceed.
Carrie Kneller, Senior Planner. This is case 55-25, East Village, the Elizabeth Enhanced Living Senior Adult Mixed Use Development. This is in an MXD zoning district on 4 acres. The applicant has requested approval of a 160-unit, 55-plus apartment building and commercial mixed use within the East Village development. There's 307,315 square feet total in the building, with 218,173 square feet of residential and 9,945 square feet of retail. The building was approved for 180,000 square feet residential only, with the revised preliminary plan of case 115-23. And the building size has increased with this final development plan to 218,173 square feet, with the retail component added this time. The preliminary development plan for East Village calculated an overall building square footage for all developments of about 1.8 million square feet. This proposal for the final development plan would increase the overall building square footage by about 2% for the entire development. And we say that because per the LDO, when there's a change in square footage of a building that is 5% or over, that's a significant or a substantial change. This doesn't reach that threshold at 2%, so we're going forward with the final development plan here. We'll still consider that overall building footprint for the rest of the developments on this site, should there be other proposals for developments in the East Village. Okay. The most recent revised East Village preliminary plan and preliminary plat was approved in April of 2024. Again, that's case 115-23. There have been some changes with this site specifically. Residential units are the same at 160, but the bedroom count has increased from 192 to 210. We have total parking from the preliminary plan at 232. That has increased to 265. And the building footprint has actually decreased from 88,098 square feet to 84,686. A lot of numbers. A raised garden bed has also been, let me see here. Okay, there you go. A raised garden bed was previously located on the north side of the building in the preliminary plan and has been eliminated and replaced by an amenity area, which has a pool, hot tub, sport court, and community gathering space. A separate interior courtyard and a gated garden seating area on the east side is also part of this plan. Previously approved preliminary plans for this site were active adult residential only, as I said, and proposed revisions are now mixed use with approximately 10,000 square feet of restaurant and retail on the ground floor on the east side. The tree replacement plans that were approved with the preliminary plan overall for the site were in conformance with the LDO at the time. Any changes to that will be updated accordingly for the recently approved updated tree ordinance. Directly north of this site, and I think I lost some of these slides in here, but this might kind of give you an idea. Directly north of the proposed site is an undeveloped property. None of the buildings in white have yet been built in this slide. It's all part of the East Village here. Directly south of this site is a future roadway, 134th Terrace, that's internal to the site. And south of that future street is future commercial as well, all part of the East Village. Directly to the east is a continuation of East Village for future commercial as well. And directly west is an extension of Kenneth Road and a multi-use trail. West of Kenneth is the Cornerstone Presbyterian Church. Site specifications, so we're talking about just this site here. From the approved PDP to the proposed FDP with this case, we have zoning, no zoning changes. Land use has added that commercial component for true MXD vertical integration. There's parking. There was a little typo here. We have this somewhere else in the staff report as well, but this number should read 265 parking spaces in that table on page 7 of the staff report. So that has increased from 232, as I stated previously. And then residential and open space square footage has decreased. Residential by about 21,591, and open space by about 8,748 square feet. So both of those are reductions with this site specifically. So for required use ratios, we have a certain amount of office, retail, and residential that were approved with the preliminary development plan. That was at 15.1% for office, 5.5% for retail, and 79.4% for residential. And that has changed now just a little bit from, again, we had office at 15.1%, now it's at 14.7%. We had retail at 5.5%, it's now at 5.6%. And residential is at, it was at 79.4%, now it's at 79.6%. And that is including the recently approved Chase Bank property that was approved in July by the governing body. So we're totaling all of that up as we go and getting those ratio uses as we continue to approve and develop this site on the East Village. Okay. There was a deviation request back with that previously approved, excuse me, it was with case 88-22. There was a deviation approved for a 0-foot interior property line setback for the brownstones in the East Village. A deviation request for this actual site as well. You'll find in the staff report there's also an interior property setback request for 0 from the required 10 feet to 5 feet. Sorry, not from 0, not to 0, 5 feet interior property line setback for this site. The development also was approved with that preliminary development plan in case 115-23 with a 35% residential discount, and a bonus of 2.1% was approved with that case to increase the Florida area ratio from 0.25 to 0.26 for the site, for the entire development. Because of the significant green spaces along the western portion of phase 5 and 6, which is including this area. It includes a 10-foot wide multi-use trail, enhanced landscaping, and plaza space. So this project proposes a vertical mixed-use 3 to 4 story building with residential units and commercial space that is open to the public. So the commercial space and retail space on the east side is open to the public. It includes a sidewalk cafe for the restaurant space and on the northeast corner, and that activates the public realm along a destination street, which is outlined in the 135th Street Community Plan. So they're fitting with that plan as well. The pedestrian network connects to future development via crosswalks, and a 10-foot wide pedestrian path on the east side activates the public realm along this key corridor here on the east side. An 8-foot sidewalk connects with the north side of the building to a multi-use trail on the west, and other public amenities include a wellness center and a salon and spa. There are other private amenities that are for residents only, such as virtual golf, a cafe, a library, and such, but those are interior to the building. Pool equipment and generator enclosure is located alongside the outer amenities on the west side, basically on the southwest corner of the building. The project meets the minimum residential unit size square footage that's required by the Leawood Development Ordinance. That's at section 16-2-6.4 to include 80% of the number of units at a minimum 900 square feet and the remaining 20% of units a minimum of 750 square feet. Multiple dwelling units on each floor would have access to balconies from their unit, and there are 14 floor plans, 14 separate floor plans, some of them with dens, some of them with multiple bedrooms, etc. The The proposed building, so for the elevations, again, I'm sorry, I think we lost some of our slides in here, but this gives you an idea of sort of the articulation, the architectural articulation of the building itself. It's, again, 4 stories on the west side and 3 stories on the east side. The height varies across the entire development on all 4 sides. There's recessed and overhanging balconies dispersed at regular intervals. Some of the units have access to balconies, others do not. An exterior pump and generator enclosure is located on the southwest side of the building with a brick facade and metal gates. That also would include an acoustic enclosure for the noise that would be generated by that generator. And a maintenance access road is located on the east side of the enclosure as well. Covered rooftop patio is on the 4th story and overlooks the trail and treed area on the west facade. Exterior materials are a variety of stucco, fiber cement panels, brick, and aluminum in 10 complementary colors that meet the approved design criteria for the East Village. The applicant did provide a traffic study with the preliminary development plan, and that was approved and has not changed with this final development plan. It was approved by Public Works at the time. 4-story internal parking garage provides covered parking for residents, and it's the location of up to 663 future rooftop solar panels that will be solar ready. Garage ingress and egress are both located on the south side of this building at the 134th Terrace entrance. And there will be 2 electric vehicle charging stations on the ground floor in the garage, and 3 more EV-ready parking spaces in the same area. That will be, the location of those will be finalized with the construction permitting. There's 10 ADA parking spaces. 7 of those spaces are provided in the parking garage, and 3 spaces are adjacent to the main entrance on the north side. And a temporary turn loop is provided with this plan for fire access. Future development will get rid of that loop, and it will just be integrated with the rest of the parking lots to the north of this structure. Landscape plan for the proposed site includes a variety of evergreen and deciduous trees and bushes and ground cover. A 10-foot landscape buffer around the foundation of the building is included for most of the site, with the exception of the southwest corner near where the sidewalk meets the street on 134th Terrace. There was a constrained portion on that site where it does get diminished by about 3.5 feet in that area. In total, there are 52 replacement trees for this site, equaling 130 calipers, and an irrigation plan is included with the project as well. There is a photometric plan that was printed out and given to you on the dais that you can refer to here. It is in conformance with the LDO requirements. The preliminary plan provided specifications for street lighting at the height of 19 feet 6 inches at the luminaire, and then another 22 feet 7 inches for the arm, so a total height of 22 feet 7 inches. It's consistent with the East Village development criteria. Impact fees include non-residential and residential use for the 135th Street corridor, residential use and non-residential use for the park impact fees, and a public art impact fee as well. Again, the requested deviation here is for a reduction in the interior property setback, interior property line setback to be 5 feet rather than 10 feet, and staff is supportive of this deviation, along with the other 35 stipulation listed in the report, and staff recommends approval of case 55-25. That concludes my report.
Questions for staff? Commissioner McGurn.
Thank you for your presentation. You covered a lot of ground. I want to make sure I wrote down one aspect of this, and so if I can just verify the numbers with you. I think you said that the original percentage for residential for all of East Village that was approved by the governing body was 79.4%?
No. Let me see here. So for the entire development?
Correct.
Or for the site? Okay. The approved PDP had, yes, I'm sorry, you're correct, 79.4.
And to compare, I think you said that with this change, if it's approved, would get it to 79.6, so a
Yes.
slight increase.
Yes.
Do you have a recollection of the number of residential units that were approved initially?
With like the brownstones and such?
Yeah, with
or-
everything
or
included,
before-
anything where
okay.
somebody lives.
Do you know the answer to that question, Michelle?
I believe it was 973, but that's really pulling into my memory.
That's
With-
impressive.
With this application, actually, the number of residential units from the PDP that was approved back in 2024 to now does not change. 160 units were proposed with the 55-plus apartment building with that preliminary development plan, so we are still pretty square on that.
Okay, so it's likely that the number of units stay the same.
The state exactly the
Okay.
same, correct.
Thank you.
I apologize, I don't have that exact number off the top of my head.
That goes back a ways. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Block.
Carrie or staff, do you know how the interior air is conditioned? I don't see like a parapet wall and a rooftop mechanical, or do you know?
Is it, I'm sorry, is it screened?
The HVAC, is it on the ground? Is it
It's on the roof.
on the, all of it? Okay.
Yes.
I just didn't see it. There wasn't a reference to a parapet wall. I didn't, or maybe I guess there is. My bad. And then, so if it's all on the roof, there's no chiller or anything, not a shared chiller?
I'm not aware of a chiller.
Okay. And I guess the reason I bring that up is I know there's another mixed-use project that we talked about recently with the sound. And so help me understand a little bit better this generator. As I read that section, I can't tell if the generator is covered or not. Is it enclosed with the pump, the pool equipment?
Yes.
Both of them.
Yes. There's a generator and pool pump equipment that will be acoustically surrounded so that the noise is reduced.
And covered?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any questions for staff? Commissioner Fishman.
I do have a question about the parking on the west side. I assume that's intended for employees and guests
On the west side?
on the west side at ground level. Did the traffic study address whether or not the number of parking spaces that are on the plan, the number is sufficient for all the employees and the guests?
So there's shared parking across this development that should be sufficient for the development and future development as well. There's a shared access agreement and maintenance agreement for those parking areas. And it's meant to churn so that when you have employees leaving for the day and you have residents coming back, you kind of switch places, so to speak. Does that answer your question? Or no?
Well, nobody knows when the next development is going to occur, so the shared parking will exist then. But in the meantime, are there enough parking spaces to satisfy the needs of all the employees that work there and whatever guests come?
With the preliminary development plan, they actually requested a reduced parking for this kind of piece of it as it kind of puzzles in for the rest of it, for the rest of the development. So they're actually increasing the parking a bit. The development guidelines require with residential and MXD that 2 parking spaces per unit is to be provided. One of those parking spaces is to be totally enclosed. However, the applicant gave us some information and provided a memo saying that kind of their experience has been that we don't always need 2 parking spaces per unit. Some of those units only will have 1 occupant as opposed to 2. So they did request and did get approved for a bit of a reduction in that parking for this. But Carrie's absolutely right that once this develops out, that ultimately as this, the parking to the north gets built out, that there is going to be sufficient parking. But as is being constructed now, yes, it does meet that. They did provide that request at the preliminary plan for the residents and the employees.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And I'll add that there's 33 more spaces than what were approved with that preliminary plan with this plan as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner McGurn.
I'd like to just piggyback on that because as you said what you said, it dawned on me that if you build the parking garages within the interior, and that is solely for the residents, and then you build around for, as you called them, employees and guests, and yet you're not developing all around yet for the rest of East Village that abuts the existing new building. Are there enough spaces, to answer the same question, are there enough spaces on the exterior for whatever is within the LDO for employee and guest, and ignoring what's on the interior because they won't be able to get into that space?
Sure. I mean, I can speak to that they have parking spaces on the north side, street parking on the east side that abuts that restaurant area as well. And as the Chase Bank development occurs too, there can be some shared parking there as well. That might be a better question for the applicant to get down into the details of that. But
Okay. Do we know the number of employees?
I don't actually know.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Nadelman.
I just have a quick note and then one question. On your material board, the top beige color is actually urbane bronze. So it says urbane bronze. You probably caught that before it moves on to the next phase. Fix that.
It doesn't, yes, it doesn't actually match the color rendering for that one. I think maybe the board that we have here with us actually does match, if I'm not mistaken, with that color.
Yeah.
I think their digital rendering got a little messed up on there.
And then my question is on the floor plans, some feature a second bedroom and some feature a den. Is there a difference between a bedroom and a den in the actual floor plans?
I believe the den would just be an extra living space that is kind of communal.
Okay.
But again, that might be a question for the applicant that they could kind of confirm that.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman? I guess under landscaping in the report, and you mentioned it in your presentation about the required 10-foot interior landscape buffer that, and for the most part appears that it's included, but as it tightens at that southwest corner, the amount of planting is reduced. Just so could you clarify so I understand the minimum requirement for interior landscape buffer is really from either the parking or the drive curb to the face of the building, which hopefully includes plant material and landscape, but
Sure,
it also could include sidewalk and
So
it's
there's that.
actually the distance of the space.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's the there's a foundation requirement from the building itself, 10 feet out from the building, to have some sort of bushes and landscaping installed in that space. In this case, that requirement is met just about fully around the entire site, except for a small corner where the sidewalk kind of comes a little bit closer to the building. I think it's within about 3.5 feet. Right. So there's a small area there. We didn't believe that that was enough to warrant a true deviation. It was more of a, right, there's no deviation for that, Michelle.
Okay. And that helps because it's not what do I want to say, a planting strip or a 10-foot amount of landscaping. It's just the location within that 10-foot minimum requirement, and they've exceeded that. And even in that tight corner, it's, 11.34 from the building edge. And so
Well, the sidewalk comes within 3.5 feet of the building in that one corner. And so they only had that 3.5 feet between the sidewalk and the building to do the planting, just basically in that one corner. Everywhere else around the entire rest of the building, it was at least 10 feet of those foundational plantings.
well, I think the entire north length of the entire building doesn't meet that either.
Do we have the landscape?
Or it's on maybe the plan L, L103. But I guess I was thinking the intent of that rule and the LDO is really to encourage a plant material as a buffer within that space dimension, and not so much a green strip or a planting strip that is 10 feet wide.
If I may speak to that, Commissioner Stevens. Yes, the intent of the Leawood Development Ordinance is to have a 10-foot buffer around the building for foundational plantings. And the Leawood Development Ordinance requires 60% living material to be installed. So that way it's not just a big bed of mulch with a couple little boxwoods or whatever. It is intended to be a foundational plant bed for low shrubs, some maybe perennials, some annuals to go in there to enhance the building facade as people are coming into the building, kind of be a welcoming space. And with Leawood having four-sided architectural requirements, it is required all the way around the building. Now, to that southwest corner that we aren't able to meet that, it's because the road is starting to flare and increase in width as it goes towards the roundabout. And so the way that the road flares and then the sidewalk is following that, we have this little pinch point where we wouldn't be able to make it. We also had some concerns about filling that completely with landscape, because then it becomes a blind spot for people who might be walking on that sidewalk. And then now we've kind of created almost a safety issue. And Carrie, being a certified CPTED individual, along with we had an individual from our police department take a look at it and also kind of express some of that same concern. So we don't want that so full that now we've created safety concerns, and now we've kind of created a possible issue with wanting that walkability within this area. We want it to be safe and make sure that there's good visibility. So, but you're exactly right. There is that intent to kind of create that and enhance that facade.
Okay. So maybe I don't know if you're looking at L103, but across the entire north length of the building, all those planted areas are less than 10 feet. But it sounds like staff's not concerned with because they're trying to meet the intent of a planted area along the building, I think. The largest section is, 8 8.8 feet, but it drops to 5.9, 4.8.
I do
and-
see what you're saying now, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's narrowed there where it meets the sidewalk on the north side. I do see
Right.
that. Mhm.
So Commissioner, you have the ability, if you want to, recommend a stipulation that the board can vote on to add a stipulation that prior to governing body consideration, that maybe the applicant reevaluate and update the landscape plan to meet that requirement. That's something you all can discuss, and then if you're in your motion, if you choose to recommend approval to send this on to governing body, you can add a stipulation to kind of kick it back into the court, so to speak, of the applicant, that before we take it to the governing body, they have to make sure they meet your stipulation that you want, if you want to put that in.
okay. I mean, I do see, as you pointed out, at the southwest corner, because of the roadway configuration, it would be very difficult unless the plan is revised and the building is adjusted. And okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fishman.
I'm sorry, but I'd like to return to the surface parking question that I asked a little bit ago. Just a matter of clarification. I think I heard you say that there was additional parking on the north and east side of the building. As I look at the general layout, page C201, I'm sorry, but I do not see any additional parking on the north or the east side of the building. Did I misunderstand?
There's 7 spaces of on-street parking on the east side, and that would potentially serve the restaurant and retail area.
It's parallel parking there up against the sidewalk, Commissioner Fishman.
Oh, in the very southeast corner?
On the east side of the building.
Yeah, there are 7 parallel spots.
Okay.
Are you looking-
I think I see what you're talking about.
Okay. And then there are several spaces. I think they total, can't remember off the top of my head, but it's something like 30 spaces or something like that in front of the building at the main entrance, which is located on the north side.
Right.
Yeah, there's 31 spaces on the north there. You can see there's a 29 in a circle and then a 2 in a circle over to the left. And then over on the right side of your page, where there's a 7 in a circle, those are those 7 parallel spots.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing what you are saying, but let me just clarify this again. I think I heard you say that irrespective of what is built to the west, there is still sufficient parking on this site plan to satisfy the requirements of the LDO.
There's no parking on the west. What's going to be on the west is a multi-use trail, and Kenneth Road extends to the north on the west side of this development.
Commissioner Fishman, if I may.
Please.
I pulled up the west side here of the building. So this space right here is actually an access road to be able to, I'll hope my mouse, yep, there's my mouse. It provides access not only to allow any maintenance equipment get to this pool pump and everything else that's housed within this enclosure, but it also is going to act as fire access that the fire marshals looked at, and they're good with that as well. So they are able to have fire access to the west side of the building. So that is actually not public parking. It is simply access for maintenance and for fire.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of answer your question, Commissioner?
Well, I just want to get to the bottom line, and that is with the parking spaces that are shown on the plan, does that satisfy the requirements of the LDO?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Black.
Michelle or staff, going back to Commissioner Stevens' question, on the north side, the LDO states that there has to be a 10-foot, or it's a recommendation or spirit of, or I don't know, how is it written? Seems like.
I believe it's shall.
Okay.
Shall's pretty strong.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Franze?
Yeah, I had a question on the southwest portion here where we've got the pool, spa, and hot tub. Is there fencing? It looked like on the landscape plan, maybe there's some trees, but it wasn't really clear. Is that going to be like visible from the roadway down there?
It probably will be visible to some extent because of the topography in that area. The street is somewhat raised and this is somewhat sunken, just to the north of the 134th Terrace Street there. So there will be some visibility from the street into that amenity area.
Okay. And then,
but there is landscaping as well to buffer and to screen a bit too.
Okay. And then there was one sheet in the plans that indicated that across the street to the south from that pool area, it's marked future development. Then it looks like in other areas it's marked as the detention pond. So I guess I just wanted clarification. That's the detention pond. There's not going to be a development right across the street looking at this pool right here.
Actually, so there's actually two parcels right there. Part of it's going to be the detention, and that's right at basically Kenneth Road and 135th Street. That is the detention for this part of the development. Further to the east of the detention is going to be future retail development. And I think, I'm trying to orient my head a little bit, I think that's going to look more at the building itself as opposed to the into the pool.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? I had a question in terms of traffic with the flow in and out. Is this going to be designed to go to the east and to the south rather than to the north to that 132nd Street?
Currently, the developer does have their landscape disturbance. I think they've got that ready, and they're getting the a lot of that street infrastructure constructed. I'll maybe defer to the applicant how much of that street infrastructure for this east end is going to actually be constructed. I know they're going to come off Kenneth Road. I know they're going to do that South Street. That's going to be a future 134th Terrace. And then I know they're going to connect up to State Line Road. I don't know at this time if they're going to go ahead and connect all the way to 133rd. That actually might be a good question for the applicant who's really following kind of that construction piece of it.
And do you know with the existing stoplights or the future stoplights, if they're going to be on exiting from the development south onto 135th Street?
I believe there's already a stoplight at Kenneth Road, and there's already a stoplight at State Line Road.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? With that, I will invite the applicant to come forward. Welcome, sir. Please state your name and business address for the record.
Yes, I will. Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. My name is Curtis Holland. I'm an attorney for the proposed developers here, Enhanced Living. And as you all know, I represented the original project of East Village. So happy to be here tonight and appreciate you hearing this case. I'd like to start off saying thank you to the staff as well. They did an excellent job, as they always do, to keep us in line and make sure we're in compliance with all of the rules and regulations of the city and as well as the development standards for East Village. Before I get started, I would like to introduce my clients here, both Tim Cassidy and Emil Haddad of Enhanced Living. They're both here behind me. Would also like to introduce Jay Caddock, who's our civil engineer with Schlegel, who's here present. And then finally, by Zoom here, listening in, is our architect, Kurt Volkman, with HED Architecture. So we're all here to answer any questions you might have. And there's already been a lot of excellent ones, but we're obviously here to help guide you through any additional questions and as far as the operation of the facility it is. As staff indicated, we're in the Phase 5 on the east side of East Village. And the proposals for an active adult community. It's it is really, in terms of the use and the location and so forth, is identical to what you all previously approved here just a year ago when we revised the preliminary plan for the east side. I would say that if fortunate enough to get approval and move through the city process, that my clients here are going to purchase the property and they will own and develop and operate the property. So they have done a number of active adult community facilities in the rest of the United States, and this would be their very first one here in this market. And they're very proud of this one, and really the reason they're here and selected this location is because it's in East Village, which is a mixed use, which is something that they really appreciate and think would help with the facility and provide amenities for their residents in the community. And then also the quality of life and that Leawood is well known for here. So I think together that attracted them to the site. They've looked at lots of sites, but landed here. So I think you can feel good about Leawood that they chose Leawood for this particular site. So as staff indicated, the project is in compliance, or at least the final plan application before United is in compliance with the approved preliminary development plan. There are some subtle changes, but not great changes. They're minor changes, but really for the better. This is really in terms of bringing the project to life. We had a preliminary development plan. We had a concept of what this might look like, but now we have real live developers here who do this for a living. And it's turned into a great project. There's a lot of amenities built into this project. And so we're very happy with it today, and as well as all the design team here. So we really don't have a big presentation. The staff's really done a great job with their packet and the information that they have asked of us, and it's in your packets. I know I can tell by your questions you've read through all of it, which is great. And but we are here to answer any questions you might have. I would say we're in agreement with all the stipulations. And really just open it up for you all to answer any more questions you might have about the project. And again, the rest of us are here to answer any questions you might have. So with that, I guess I'll close and open it up for any questions or comments you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howland. Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Carberg.
I had a question. You have 2 EV charging stations within the parking area. Is that what I heard?
That's correct.
Out of that many apartments, if that catches on again, which eventually it will, how easy is it to add and just make that available for people?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's relatively easy enough to add, but I guess I'll defer to maybe Jake.
Sir, can you please come up to the podium? Before you speak, please state your name and business address.
Jake Haddock with Schlegel, 14920 West 107th Street, Lenexa, Kansas, 66215. It's set up currently for 2 EV stalls with the addition of 2 more in the future. If you get any more than that, it starts to become a power concern, and so that's what it's set up for now.
Okay. Yeah, because I think the trend will come back. You know, the low petroleum prices, I think, hindered EVs for a while and also, you know, somehow less popular, but it's going to be a trend in the future. I think planning for that is going to be pretty much mandatory.
Rick Odo Development. I think you guys remember, most of you remember me. I'm helping the developers out. They will be building it. But as with our space, these do have garage. It's easy access to the conduits down below. So if we need to add more, we can. It's the problem we have is Evergy requires proof of need before you do it. So we have to fill the first 2 before we have the next 2, and then we can keep adding power as we go. But they won't let us have too much power if we're not going to use it up front. But because it's in an open garage, the way it is, it's very easy to pull more power in should we need it.
Okay.
Did I answer
So
that?
the two parking stalls for an EV requires an approach to Evergy.
I'm sorry, what?
2 more power stalls, chargers requires an approach to Evergy to put those in?
You get, well,
That's
we'll
not
have,
much power.
Yeah, for 2 or 4, you could probably, because there's usually 30 to 60 amps a piece. 30 is a slow charge, 60 is a little bit faster charge. So we can easily put 2 in right up front. As those get filled, we'll have conduits available for 2 more right there. So the conduits, it's easy to put in. Once we get those 4 done, if you have those 4 filled, then we can start pulling them, 2 to 4 at a time, have available power. The place has got a lot of power coming in, so it won't be that hard to pull additional power over to it, especially because it's in an open garage area, or we can have, conduits going outside as well that we can easily have coming out of the building. They're just closed off. If we ever need to extend, we can.
Has there been a consideration of using any of the rooftop solar possibilities that you're going to be prepared for to be able to power such things?
Well, I don't want to speak too much for them, but I know when we've done the returns in Kansas right now, power's so cheap, there's about 26-year return in the quality of the solar panels. Are only about 20 to 25 years. So it's really cost prohibitive in Kansas to do very much unless they start giving us big rebates back to the owners, from Evergy to us. And right now they're not doing that. They are in Missouri, but not Kansas.
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Commissioner Block.
I know we heard about the 55-plus restriction with the preliminary, and now I think it's being called active adult. Is it just a matter of semantics, or is it?
It is. It's 55 plus is our residence, so yes.
And I guess just how does that work?
Not what, sir?
How does it all work? How does that work? It's just you're just limited if you can't move in if you're less than 55. I mean, is it that simple? Is it
correct? It's per our rental agreements with the residents that they be that age, and so we've operated in this manner in other facilities, and it's worked out well. That the clientele actually will be a little bit older than that, but still active active adults. They tend to be a little bit older than that. But.
And then one more question. Sure. This discussion on the landscaping on the north side of the building, sounds like it is, a requirement of the LDO. It's not showing that. Is that going to be difficult to make that change between now and the government?
We'll need to study that. We had discussions about it with staff. We thought we were where we are is where we landed is, I think, what we had agreement on in terms of what could be required and where. It's we've put more landscaping, for example, on the southeastern portion of the building than is required. So we've sort of moved the landscaping around, if you will. But all we can say is we can look at it, but it's going to be nice, and so.
I don't disagree, but I don't disagree, but it just sounds like it is a requirement on all sides, not, swap it. But okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe there are deviations that could be allowed for that as well, too, so we'll have to look into that.
Commissioner Ninderman.
What's the anticipated price range for these apartments?
Well, I don't know if we can speak to that tonight, but given the amenities, I would expect it to be a higher level of rent, and especially in this Leawood. So this is a high quality project, and so I think there's going to be some market for some higher levels of rent. I just don't know that we could put a dollar amount on it right now.
Commissioner Franze.
If you get these approvals, do you know time frame on construction?
I'm going to defer to Tim Cassidy with Enhanced Living. I think I know the answer, but I'll let you.
Tim Cassidy, and address is 816 Delsey Drive, Glassboro, New Jersey. I'm East Coast, Emil is West Coast, and we're meeting in the middle. So, anyway, and the question again? Construction time. We're hoping April 1st, maybe June 1st at the latest in terms of a start date of next year. Yeah. And as far as operationally, just real quick, we are best of class. Our 4th floor plans to be a concierge level, which would be the first full concierge level in all of Metro Kansas City. So we consider it a best of class project. Yeah.
Commissioner McGurn.
Just to follow up on the conversation previously about employees and parking and all that kind of stuff, can you give us an idea of the maximum number of employees that would be on site at any given point in time?
I'll let Tim speak to it, but
perfect.
Again,
thank you for coming back.
Yep. During the day shift, we would think about 15 to 18 employees during the day shift.
Okay.
Less on second shift, some on overnight.
Okay, so a little less than 15 to 18. So more than half of the available exterior parking spaces will be taken by the employees.
So I would not quite go there because we would expect pooling a lot of our staff would be housekeeping, laundry, and we would expect a good amount of carpooling. In terms of those types of employees. Obviously, our executive director, our marketing director, they're bringing a single car.
Okay, thank you. And I'm assuming staff's comfortable with that, so the answer is what it is.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay.
Thank you very
that's
much.
it.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. That brings us up to discussion. Does anyone wish to have any comments on case 5525?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Block.
Just, I guess generally, I appreciate that the parking has remained inside and not, the garage is either not exterior or not seen from the outside. I do think, I don't want to steal Doug's thunder, but I do think we do need a stipulation that requires, or that states that the landscaping must meet the LDO in order to be, or it's just a stipulation, I should say, around the perimeter of the building would be my thought.
Commissioner McGurn.
I agree with the statement related to the 10 feet on the north side, and I can't find my notes off the top of my head here as easily, but I appreciate the fact that the number of units, residential units, has not increased from what had been approved at an earlier point in time.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner McGurn. Any other comments on this case? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I would add that I think the new adjustments made to this plan to include the commercial and retail spaces are a real improvement over the preliminary plan, and I think it's really nice, and I'm glad to see that. It's a much better plan for this development, so I would be in support of this submission.
Commissioner Carberg.
To the comment about how much these are going to cost, and we were told you have no idea, it seems surprising to do a project and not know what the finances are in the end.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Block.
I move for approval of case 5525 East Village, the Elizabeth Active Adult Community, with the stipulations listed 1 through 35, and I propose an additional stipulation stating that the buffer around the perimeter of the building must meet the LDO before, or maybe I should just leave it at that. Must meet the LDO.
Is that acceptable to staff? Okay.
Would that be a condition that you would want that addressed prior to governing body consideration?
Yes, please.
If I may, how does this sound? And you can incorporate it into your motion. Prior to governing body consideration, the applicant shall revise the plans to meet the LDO landscaping requirements, specifically the 10-foot landscape buffer around the building.
That's great. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Stevens. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor of approving case 5525 East Village, the Elizabeth Active Adult Community, with 36 stipulations as amended? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay?
Nay.
That is 7 for, 1 against, if I'm counting correctly. Okay, Thank you very much, gentlemen. Before we get to case 8425, let's just take a 5-minute recess quickly and then just come back for that one.
You know, I went over and looked at it.
I did too.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are reconvening the Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, August 26, 2025. Up next is our last item, case 8425 Leawood Commons, Leawood Daycare Facility. Request for approval of a special use permit, daycare, and preliminary plan located north of Town Center Drive and east of Knoll Avenue. Ms. Burt, is this
Mr.
yours?
Chairman, I would like to recuse myself from this case, from discussion and vote, if I may.
Yeah, you certainly may.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Okay, Ms. Burt, this is yours.
Thank you.
Okay,
Taylor
please.
Burt, Planner 1. This is case 8425 Leawood Daycare Facility, request for approval of a special use permit and preliminary plan. The applicant is requesting approval for a commercial daycare center located at 11301 Ash Street, Leawood, Kansas, within the Leawood Commons development north of Town Center Drive and east of Knoll Avenue. It is zones SDO. The proposed daycare facility is located in an existing building, formerly the Leawood Family Care Doctor's Office, which is a one-story, 13,346 square foot office building that has remained vacant for roughly 3 years. Because of the SDO zoning, they are required to seek a special use permit for a commercial daycare operation on this site. The anticipated enrollment is proposed to be a maximum of 160 children on site at any one time due to part-time schedules, while the center will be licensed through the state of Kansas for up to 200 children. There are no buses to be stored or utilized for this operation. The hours of operation are proposed to be from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. The applicant has proposed minimal alterations to the exterior at this time, only adding 5 new external doors as well as a 4-foot tall fence around much of the perimeter of the building on the west, north, and east sides. All gates surrounding the building will remain locked and not allow for public use, but will allow access for emergency personnel in compliance with the fire safety regulations by including a knockbox with keys for emergency access. The applicant is also proposing a new playground area on the west side of the property adjacent to the building that is roughly 2,900 square feet. Outdoor play is planned to occur in staggered sessions between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. The playground at this time is proposed to be turf as well as include several types of playground equipment. Fire and Public Works have reviewed these plans and their memos are included in the packet. Though landscaping is not approved with the preliminary plan application, the applicant has been informed that there are 10 trees that were previously a part of a landscape easement and since cut down without being replaced. Those must be replaced on top of the other required landscaping. The preliminary landscape plan does include adding 23 evergreen trees and 32 shrubs to provide screening along the eastern property line, in addition to the other 10 trees. Other landscaping has been included as well, adjacent to the building and playground area, which will include a variety of trees and shrubs. At the time of final plan, landscaping shall meet the requirements of the Leawood Development Ordinance. The existing parking lot is a part of a shared parking agreement within the development. For this project, the Leawood Development Ordinance requires 1.5 parking spaces per employee, with a total requirement of 44 parking spaces. And currently there are a total of 67 parking spaces existing. A traffic study was submitted, and Public Works has reviewed it and included it in their memo in the packet. An Interact meeting was held on August 12th, 2025, with only one neighbor in attendance. At this time, the City of Leawood Planning Department has received several letters in opposition, as well as a petition from neighbors along the Rosewood Street, which is adjacent to the site on the east side of the property, and is included in your packets. Since this is a preliminary, preliminary plan, the golden factors have been reviewed and are included in the packet as well. This application does meet all requirements of the Leawood Development Ordinance, and staff does recommend approval of case 8425 with the 24 stipulations listed in the report. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I also wanted to note that there is an additional few pages that were interaction from the applicant and the business association that isn't labeled, but it's on your in front of you on the dais.
Thank you, Ms. Burt. Any questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner McGurn.
Thank you, sir. I recognize that I assume and think none of us were here 33 years ago, but I am curious what the city's reaction is to the issue of the original office park plan, including the 8-foot tall berm and the 50-foot wide buffer zone between the residential community and office park, never being provided or built in accordance with the plan, and not having been informed that the plan was changing. I'm curious how the city reacts to that, how they have communicated or had conversations with the neighbors in that regard.
So I tried to go dig back and see if I could find any records, and it's a long time ago, so
Right.
There was no documentation about the berm. I would say at final plan we could talk about adding that 3-foot berm like we usually do whenever it's commercial next to a residential. But since it is only preliminary, we didn't get that too deep into it. I will say that. But it was kind of shocking that it was never done.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? No?
Yes.
Oh, Commissioner Franze.
Just following up on that, the question about the berm, do we know, has anyone looked into it? It looked like on the plans that were provided, there's a 25-foot landscape and utility easement that abuts the east side of the property. Are there utilities located in there? Is that going to cause issues with putting a berm there? I just don't want to leave this meeting telling people we're doing that and then find out we can't do that. I want to know what we can do.
So from what I understand, it was a 25-foot easement for landscaping only. I wasn't aware of utilities. If it is utilities, we can look it up on the Johnson County Ames. I believe there probably are some easements, though, just because there are some utility boxes running through there, but I'll let Michelle speak to that.
So the way the Leawood Development Ordinance is currently written is that any buffering between commercial and residential is either a fence, landscaping, a berm with landscaping, or some combination thereof. And so, and this is a discussion, like Taylor has said, this is a preliminary. So the applicant is coming in with just a special use permit and a revised preliminary plan request to make sure that before they start spending a lot of money on further engineered drawings for the site, they want to make sure that at least this piece is approved, which is why we haven't really gone down that road. Both Taylor and I did do an on-site visit, and there's pictures in your packet to kind of show current site conditions. And it does look like that there are a lot of trees that just kind of got wiped right out of this one area behind one of the homeowners. One of the conversations we should probably have, you know, as that is a there's a 25-foot landscape buffer right there along the east side. I'd have to double check to see if there are any utilities. Oh, yeah, there are no utilities currently in it according to Johnson County Ames. But, you know, it would have to be a conversation about, do we build the buffer and do we have to wipe out the existing trees that might be healthy and are large old growth trees to put a berm in? And with landscaping, do we just put maybe a small berm where the hole is? So we'll have to kind of work that out and have that conversation about how to be able to meet the buffering ordinance and not also kill and damage a bunch of existing trees that may be healthy in there.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fishman.
Michelle, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Just a question on the project narrative. It says the facility will have 2 outdoor play areas. The east area will be designated for younger children, while the west side will serve older children. I look at the development plan, and this is page C-1.00, and maybe I just don't know what I'm looking at, but I don't see a playground area on the east side. Is there one shown, and if not, should it be?
You're correct. So initially, there was proposed to be an eastern playground, and I received the project narrative with that submittal. After receiving feedback from neighboring property owners, the applicant has revised their plans and removed the eastern side's playground altogether to try to appease some neighbors.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Franze.
One of the other concerns that looks like is raised is to do with traffic. I'm assuming, is it the same response that because this is special use permit and preliminary plan, we do not have a traffic study at this point that would show how this is going to impact that?
So they have submitted a traffic study, and I'll let Brian speak to that.
So we did request a trip generation comparison to show the difference between what's being proposed today versus what was proposed with the original office building. And it does show an increase in trips generated in the morning and evening. And as you can imagine, the traffic coming in and out of the daycare, it's about double for the trips arriving in the morning. It's more than double for the trips leaving in the morning, because most people, when they get to the office, they don't turn around and leave during the same peak hour time frame. I would note that given that the numbers we're talking about aren't overwhelming, and that if you consider the number of trips occurring over the course of an hour, it's about 2 per minute. And it doesn't mean that they will occur 2 per minute. We know cars don't come like that. They often come in platoons. So, but it is something to consider. The evening rush hour is similar to the morning. It's not quite as intense in terms of the difference between the previously approved plan versus what's being proposed today. But it is nearly double the traffic of what was proposed previously.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Brian Scoville, City Engineer.
I think you already introduced yourself once earlier, but thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, I will invite the applicant to come forward. Sir, please state your name and business address.
Sure. Will Buchanan, 1707 East 123rd Terrace, Olathe, Kansas, 66061.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. First time doing this, so here we go. Good evening, commissioners. Appreciate you giving our project consideration. And I think the staff did a great job of kind of going through some of the nuances or the particulars of the project. The only other thing I'd like to say is that, in 2022, we opened our first location off of 92nd and Warnell. We converted an existing church into the Steeplechase Academy. And we identified this location in Leawood based on several factors, and one of which is in Johnson County, only 56% of the child care needs are being provided for by daycare facilities. And so there's a massive shortage even here in Johnson County. And at the same time, it's very difficult to find suitable sites within developed cities like Leawood. And as such, many of the new facilities that are being built today are being built on land sites that are on the outskirts of many communities. So, we feel very fortunate to have this opportunity to repurpose an existing building here in the heart of Leawood, next to dense residential neighborhoods and other surrounding large employers in the area. So for these reasons, we think this site's an excellent location that will serve the needs of the families in Leawood and the surrounding communities. And then I appreciate the questions that were asked. We did want to note that, we did hold the Interact meeting. The Martins were present. We appreciated the input that you provided, and we did amend our plans based upon that input, because we thought it was valuable feedback. I welcome any questions you might have.
Any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Block.
Mr. Chair, I know at least in an earlier version when you had the play areas on the east and the west side, one was designated for older and one was for younger kids. How do you deal with that now that you're just going to potentially have a playground on the west side?
So part of that west side playground will be, the northern side will be designated for the younger children, and then the larger area will be for the older children.
And I'm sure you've either read or, kind of heard our discussion about the landscape. I mean, I know your initial proposal is kind of minimal, but I guess, do you have any initial thoughts as to how you might improve that? Again, I know it's not part of this application, but just in general, have you had a chance to think about it and know what that might look like?
Yes, we are very open to improving what we felt was pretty dense landscaping. We have 22 new trees proposed on the east side, and then several new trees and bushes on the west side. 10 of the existing trees that were cut down, I believe the city's notified the existing owner of the building of those, so we hope that they will take care of that issue on their, since it's their property. But if not, we of course would replace those trees as part of this project if that's what the city required. As far as the berm goes, that would be something we probably would need to further investigate. I'm not sure exactly what's required to create the berm that we might be talking about, but that's something we are open to looking into. But we are very open to dense landscaping to make this an attractive project for the neighbors.
And then, I know it sounds like you did turn in, a traffic study, and I know there was just a comment about that, but I guess maybe just your experience from your other location or in general, any thoughts, comments about traffic in general?
Yeah, so we have cameras that, record parts of the building. So we did a time-lapse study of the parking, of the traffic, and counted the vehicles coming in and out and looked at stacking. And, the drop-off and pickup is over a 3-hour period. And so it's not like a school where you have massive congestion. You have this very natural flow of cars. And so we did not observe, we picked a peak day, where there's 160 kids and full staff there. And, it's a very smooth transition. We'd be happy to share that video, when appropriate, if that was something that the, council wanted to see or if anybody wanted to see it.
And then my last question for now is, I guess, in some of the comments or the letters that we saw or emails or whatever they were, concerns about noise. And I guess, do you have any comment to, number of kids that are outside at one point in time, or, just kind of, I understand you've removed, and I appreciate you, trying to work with the neighbors, but, the noise from the west side, do you just have any general comments? I'm sure we'll hear more through the night here, but I just didn't know if you had initial thoughts or comments.
I'd say that, in our existing facility, we haven't had any complaints from our neighbors due to noise with kids playing outside, and we do have houses that border that property. The play time is staggered, so it's not all 160 kids outside at once. Being on the opposite side of the building, the building will provide a significant noise buffer, for any noise that's generated. And I would suspect, this is not based on any science, but I would suspect traffic coming in and out would be just as equally as noisy on that Ash Street as kids playing out there.
And I guess I do have one more question now you say that. So the capacity, I think, is you're looking to 200, but you think you'll be at 160-ish. What length of time do you think it'd take you to get to 160?
Yeah,
is that
3 years.
3 years, okay.
Yep.
And maybe it said it in there, I missed it. Thank you.
I don't think that was in there.
That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Commissioner Nadelman.
I have 2 questions. One, what's the drop-off process like? Does every parent have to park and walk the kid in, or how does that work?
Yes. Lindsay, anything to add on that? Lindsay is the director at our existing facility.
Okay.
No, ma'am, can you come up to the podium, please? Can you also provide your name and business address for us?
Sure. My name is Lindsay Molman. I currently am the director at our Steeplechase Academy location. Did you say you need my address?
What's the address?
9201, thank you, Warnell Road, Kansas City, Missouri, 64114.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So for our drop-off and pickup procedures, we do require parents to park their cars and bring the children in. But there's also been cases where I have helped parents get the children out of the car and bring them back out to the building when they've had medical issues.
And then my second question is probably for you as well, is what age range do you plan to serve? And then what's the normal kind of breakdown? Are a lot of them infants? Are they primarily 3 and 4 year olds? What are we going to see?
So we would be able to be licensed for infants up to 5 years old. Infants would be starting at 6 weeks per Kansas state licensing. And we do have it broken down approximately 16 for the 0 to 12 months, 32 for 1 to 2 year olds, 34 for the 2 to 3 year olds. For the preschool and pre-K side, it would be approximately 84. And then if we were to have up to that 5-year-old age range, it would be approximately 34.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Carlberg.
It's been a long time since I've had anybody in day school. Are most of these all-day occupancies, or are there half-days? How staggered are the arrivals and pickup times?
They're pretty staggered, especially at our location. We have a lot of parents that are still working from home, so they have slower start mornings, and then they drop off later in the morning. Some of our children leave earlier than 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we have some, they pay for the full day, so they could be there the entire time that they're open to close, but I would say probably 90% of them don't. They're generally there for 8 to 10 hours.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Block.
One more. And so going back to the kind of 0 to 5, I guess, I mean, if you just decided, I don't know how the process works. If you said, all right, we should do after school and we're going to have up to 8th graders, or I don't know what the next level is that a different license? Or maybe that's a question for staff. I'm not sure who I'm asking that, but is that something different? Are they, if we approve this, or the governing body does whatever, I mean, it would only be to 5 years old and that's it, unless they came back to the governing body, or do you know, I guess just from your...
Yeah, generally, so I've generally dealt with Missouri licensing regulations, but in Missouri, we have to have licensing up to a certain age if we want to provide before and after school care or children older than 5 years old. We have to have a certain approval for that.
And so, I mean, I guess kind of finish, whatever approval you're seeking, aside from us, is up till 5 and that's it?
Correct.
Is that, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Fishman.
Yes, I have a question. This one would be directed toward the owner. This area is a business park, always has been a business park. My concern is that the placement of the playground equipment would be somewhat out of character in terms of visual appearance from what you would expect to see in a business park or an office park, and what the other owners, tenants in the business park would expect. So my question is there any additional screening that can be done on the west side in order to soften that that view from the west as cars are approaching, that would mitigate the view of that playground equipment, which is, in my opinion, not all that attractive?
Yes, we could study putting, like, there's currently 2 or 3, I'm not sure if the picture is available, but there's 2 or 3 really tall, I don't know if they're called hedges or trees, but that exist right there that,
Yeah, there are boulders. There are boulders shown to protect the children in the play area from any traffic that would break through the fence. And then there are shrubs between the boulders.
Yep.
Which doesn't seem like very much.
And I was referring to there's existing, I guess you might call them trees that are very vertical and very dense. And so we could look at adding additional trees that match what's already there to provide that visual screen of the playground equipment. So
Okay.
continuing the landscape, I guess we don't have a picture right here that shows, it's not these trees, it's kind of back to the corner, but, yes, and then, I don't think it's sufficient, but, we can screen the fence as well. But in this, you can't see my finger there, but in the, what is that, the west corner, the southwest corner, there's some existing tall trees there. So we absolutely could add additional screening through landscaping, which I think would be, we'd be open to studying other ways to screen it as well, because it would need to be pretty tall to cover that playground equipment.
Question for the staff then. If we were going to expect some additional screening, how do we do that? Do we add a stipulation, or is this a matter to be taken up at a later time?
Yeah, again, that would be a final plan. That would be what we do at final plan. Look into it a little bit more, add stipulations at that time, because this is just preliminary. We don't approve landscape plans at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. All right, this case does require a public hearing. Before I open up the public hearing, everyone that signed in, I have you on the list. If you didn't sign in on the list, I'll open it up to other people later that didn't get the list. So don't worry about not being called upon or don't have a chance to speak. The rules of the public hearing, once we open it, each speaker gets 4 minutes. You'll see on the podium, there are different lights on there. It'll go yellow with how many seconds left, staff? What? 30. So we'll go with 30. 30 seconds, you'll see a yellow light, and then when your 4 minutes is up, it will blink red, and there'll be this obnoxious buzzer that will signal to you your time is up. So in the interest of getting everyone through and getting everyone heard, we want to give everyone a chance. So that's why we're going to adhere to that 4 minutes. So with that, I will open up the public hearing, and we'll just go from the first person on down. Steve Martin. Mr. Martin, welcome to the Planning Commission. Even though your address is written on here, can you please give us your home address?
11212 Rosewood Street.
Okay, thank you.
We have the house that is directly to the east side of the property. Okay, and my wife and I have lived there for 33 years. So we've been there even before the building was built. The comments about the berm and the buffer, when I got ready to buy my property there, I went over to the City Hall building on Lee Boulevard and met with staff, and because I knew it was going to be office buildings, but I wanted to see, exactly what the layout was. And I'm the one I saw the plans, and there was a buffer there with a berm and 1,000 trees. Okay, and obviously in those days things were different. Leawood was basically a bedroom community. They didn't have much commercial, and so I'm sure that part of this had to do with trying to get the zoning, for some of the first office buildings that were built in the city. And so anyway, but bottom line is the thing is developed, and one day I was on vacation, came home. They had started this building, and it is 40 feet from my fence line. So basically, I had a 6-foot fence built, and on my side of if you came over and looked at my yard, on my side of the fence, I have trees and bushes that I've put in there to kind of screen the visual effect of the building. And it's been effective. The building, because all of the activity is on the inside of the building, the noise levels are relatively low, and we've existed for 29 years with it. And so obviously my concern is that I can mitigate the visual part, but noise and that type of thing, there's nothing we can do. And when I bought my property, I didn't think there was going to be a 200-child daycare within 40 feet of my property. And I think all of you have homes, all of you live here. And the reason you live here is because you always looked at Leawood as protecting, you had a good place to live and they protected your values, your property values. And this use of the building, I think is an overreach. And, and if it's allowed, I don't know exactly how the traffic's going to be. And, nobody does. But it's going to be significant. You can't have, if you think about people bringing their children in here and parking in the parking lot, and if you go over there and look at it, and then taking the kids and walking them into the facility and then dropping them off, well, how long is that going to, is that going to tie up those parking spaces? And they got 30 staff, and, so I guess what I'm asking you is you've read our letters and you know the opposition. And, there are interested parties involved. And if you look at what was sent to you, all of the interested parties are in opposition, except the person that owns the building that wants to sell it and the daycare facility. So I'm just asking you to think about it as if you all have your houses, and do you think that? Do you think this is right? Do you think this is fair? And that's all I'm asking you. So with that, I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Next up is Jarrett Gross-Didier. What is it? Gross-Didier. Sorry for the massacre. That's there. Okay. Please state your name and home
Jarrett
address for the record.
Owner, operator, along with my partner, Lynn Chopper, is here as well.
Could you please state your address too?
It's 11313 Ash Street, S&G Family Dentistry. And we essentially almost share a parking lot with the parking lot that we're discussing. So my main concerns are three. One is, we've already alluded to it to a degree, is that the type of business we're talking about does not fit this district and this area we're talking about. From Knoll to the residential area and blocks south and north, they are all medical buildings, professional buildings, quiet in nature, and this just kind of flies in the face of all that. So I think stuck right in the middle is just going to just change everything about this whole area. Two, the parking traffic. I know we have studies and we are discussing them, but we've had this building, we've been there since 2013. I've been there 12 years. That particular parking lot has 67 spots, and they are talking about approximately 30 employees. And I've done a straw test the past few weeks, but on average, there's no one there now, no one in that building, but there's about 19 cars in that lot all the time from the surrounding areas. So we're talking about 17, 18 spots for these 200 kids to come in, find a spot, like they're talking about, walk them in, bring them out. I just think this is going to be a disaster. And also, I don't know if you saw I don't have a diagram of it, but a lot of those spots are along the driveway in. If there is any congestion at all, which I assume there will be, those spots will be blocked as well. So those are not usable spots either, or it's going to contribute to the congestion, which then will spill into Ash Street, which then goes up and down the front there. I really think it's going to be a problem. And also I don't know if you know, the intersection 113th and Knoll, across the street we have the Whataburger and all that stuff over there. Well, that intersection is fairly new, and I would say it's been interesting at best, and I think that adding to that is only going to make that worse. And that, I don't know if you know too, but the access to the business district or business area right to the north of us, The only entrance point to that area from the south is right at that intersection, which already is blocked all the time, and it's up a hill, significant hill, and that is a problem. That is a problem, and it'll just become worse. The parking is shared in our area, but none of the other parking spots, parking lots are really available. They're too far away, or they're up this hill. We've had people that had to use them, and they've fallen coming down the street. There is no sidewalks, and there's no connecting areas between these buildings, so you have to walk down the street to get to these other areas, which makes this parking lot in the back even more crucial. And the last thing I'd say is safety, and I don't know if anybody probably knows this. I know that probably the potential buyers don't either, but coming down that hill from Knoll on 113th, you come down the hill and go around the corner, and right at that spot is where this playground's gonna be set. And we've seen, geez, I don't know, multiple cars up in that spot, lost control, knocked over. I've seen probably 10 of them in there. I haven't seen, that's what I'm just kind of concerned about the safety of everyone involved. So I think that kind of covers it for me, but that's all I got. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brandon Myers? Brandon Myers? Nope. Okay. Oh, okay. Signed up under the wrong thing. Okay, thank you. Tana Guthrie?
I'm Tana Guthrie. I live at 11228 Rosewood, Leawood, Kansas. That's my husband. I only made 5, but I'm going to show you before and after photos. And we live right back by the berm.
Thank you.
So when we built 32 years ago, it was just all woods. And then when the office park came in, the developer said, we will give you an 8-foot berm. It is going to be lushly landscaped. You will have a sprinkler system, a manicured berm. Please look at the before and after photos. The dirt ones are the before. Can you see those? That was in 2017. That's still shots from a video that I took, and that's what the berm looked like. That's what the developer promised us, but it looks like we didn't get it. Look at the after pictures. So in 2017, we had erosion, was getting mud in my yard, so I, at my expense, planted all that. It looks pretty good, don't you think? My green giant arborvitae. I also watered it because the aforementioned sprinkler system wasn't really working. So I've taken care of that. And like Steve says, that mitigates the view, but not the sound. I sell real estate, and I just sold the house next door to Coco and Jacob, a young couple from Chicago. I guarantee you they would not have bought that house if they knew there was going to be a daycare center right behind it. Now, when you back up to a berm, there's always objections if you're in real estate. But I overcome that by saying, look, it's quiet. It's a ghost town at 5 o'clock and on the weekends. And they go, okay, we can live with that. It's nice. It's better not than having a noisy neighbor. But if you've got 200 kids back there, it's not going to be quiet. And in the traffic, who was it who mentioned that you've got double the traffic? You know they're going to be cutting through our neighborhood. There's no way you're going to try to get out on Knoll. There's just not enough room. They'll be cutting through our neighborhood. So we just respectfully ask, we bought the property. We knew there's going to be an office park. Let's keep it an office park, with all the work inside and no daycare center. So we appreciate the time.
Thank you, ma'am. Bill Watkins.
Yes, good evening. I'm a resident on Rosewood.
Can you please state your address, too? Name and address.
11236 Rosewood. Just a few points. The others made great points tonight. Mr. McGurran and Mr. Franz, is it Franzi? Franze both talked about whether staff had any information about some of these things that were being stated in the letters. And so I wanted to speak to that a little bit. I'm an attorney, and 30 years ago I prepared a lawsuit against the Planning Commission and naming each of the individual members personally because of some of the erosions of the commitments that had been made in the preliminary plat And at that time, the attitude of the Planning Commission, and we have a new body, right? It's the same body, but different commissioners. The attitude seemed to be that a 55 to 60% reduction in the setback wasn't material. And my response to them was, well, we're going to find out if a jury of 12 of our peers thinks that 55% to 60% reduction in the setbacks is material. So they quickly pulled the building permit, and we came to an accommodation, and no lawsuit was filed, and therefore you don't see any documentation of it. I only had one client at that time. She's now my wife. And I didn't go down the street knocking on doors to see if Mr. Martin or Tana Guthrie wanted to push back, but I can assure you that their rights were compromised. And what we don't want to happen is to have a compounding of the erosion of the residents in our nice little subdivision by having a special use permit on top of what has already occurred. And what they got away with 30 years ago was really not right. It was an injustice. So anyway, the staff has done a good job. I'm kind of impressed with all the different projects and the packet that they put together. They make recommendations, and they've recommended approval. You are the decision makers, right? And you don't have to take the recommendation. You decide independently, and we're asking you to protect us. The city of Leawood knows what it's like to have a neighbor who overburdens an adjacent property. That neighbor is called Overland Park. And you see with Topgolf, you know, Overland Park juts over onto the east side of Knoll sometimes, and they try to surround us as a city. And they build a Sprint campus, and they promise green space forever, but it's not forever. Forever becomes a go-kart community, right? And you know, the whole hill, it's Andy's and Whataburger and a lot of actually good stuff, but it's really dense, right? And that's a neighbor that's coming right up to our doorstep here in Leawood with all of their density. Well, that's what we're experiencing here in our neighborhood. We have all of Overland Park, but now we also have our own quiet business park, and we're asking you to recognize just the totality of circumstances, what happened 30 years ago, what's going on in Overland Park. The traffic, I mean, the previous presentation, they're going to have a staff of 12 to 15 at the Elizabeth. But we're talking about a staff of 30 here at the daycare. And that's a much bigger facility, you know, over there off of State Line. So just, you know, I think the gentleman who owns one of the commercial properties close by, I think that's really good information. The 19 cars that are already there, and it's a vacant building. So I think it might be a disaster. So anyway, the applicant said it's not a school. It is an early education facility. I think that's what it's called. So, you know.
Thank you, sir, for your time. We appreciate it.
Right. Thank you for your consideration.
John D'Agostino.
Yeah, John D'Agostino. I'm at 11209 Rosewood. I'm east of where Mr. Martin lives. So we're not going to be impacted that much on the noise, but we will definitely hear the noise from that facility. The biggest issue I have with this is 112th goes from Knoll, and there's a lot of traffic that comes and cuts through from Knoll to Rowe going east. It's going to increase that a lot. And there's people that want to walk on the street. There aren't sidewalks right there on 112th. This is an issue. I think safety is a huge issue on this particular thing. A lot more traffic. We're getting a lot of younger couples coming in now, so they're running with you know, babies and carts and everything like that. I'll tell you guys, this needs to be reconsidered. This kind of facility in this area, to me, it's a danger that I think needs to be looked at very closely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Roger Morris? Roger Morris? No? Okay. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak? Yes, sir. In the back, please come forward. Please state your name and address for us.
My name is Joe Lambert. My wife Sharon's sitting back there also. We have two houses right next door.
Can you please state your home address?
11214 Rosewood and 11220 Rosewood. We own both houses that back up to the parking lots. And from the very beginning, we built our original house in, I believe, 1992. Our house burnt down in 2017. We just finished rebuilding the house within the last 3 months. The problems that we've had from the very beginning are the noise levels, all the things that we were promised from the beginning, because when we originally built, it was nothing but woods behind us. And lo and behold, as soon as everything started being put in there, we noticed that the berm wasn't where it needed to be, and when cars would park back behind us, they were forever shining their car lights in our windows in the mornings, at nights when went to daylight savings time. The trash barrel was put within, I believe, 15, 20 feet of our property. They come in and dump the trash at about somewhere between 3:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning continually, waking us up. All those things we were promised wouldn't happen. So we love Leawood. We love Leawood Country Manor. There's nothing like it. That's why houses sell within 2 or 3 days, because we're a mile from 435, a mile from Quick Trip, a mile from the grocery store, a mile from the highway. I'm 67 years old. I just had open heart surgery 18 days ago. It's important to me. So I wanted to be close to a hospital in case I have a medical emergency, grocery stores, all those things. We've got the best community in town as far as we're concerned. But we want to be able to live peacefully amongst our neighbors. I've got 4 kids. I've got 17 grandkids. My neighbors that have all been up here, we've lived there for 30 years. We love our community. We're fine with the commercial property that's there. We're not saying we don't want the commercial property. We just want our berm fixed. We want to be able to have what we were promised. We pay a lot of money in taxes here, as you well know. You guys pay them too. We just all want to live and enjoy the fruits of our labor and have things done according to what the city told us they would do in the beginning. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to be heard on this case? Yes, sir.
Alan Phillips, 11305 Ash Street. My wife and I, we own and operate Leawood Family Eye Care and have since 2003, at that location since 2007. And I'd just like to reiterate some of the concerns that Jared had with the dentist. We're between them and the property in question. And the parking lot, the spaces around our building, a lot of them are closer to the property in question than the owned lot, that is designated, that's talked about. And with the cut through there would be our north side of us, the south side of them. There's a few spots that I can see that traffic flow just blocking those spots. I know they said they were staggered, but it seems like it would be quite a bit of an increase in traffic during pickup and drop off. And I know just from experience with Leawood Family Care, when they were full capacity and they had physical therapy right on that southwest corner, we had patients from their facility parking, right around our building constantly, and it got taxed, but it was manageable. But if you talk about double, and I think that's light on the estimate, that's going to really tax that whole area. People tend to go in and drop off. They think, well, we'll just drop off our kids, we'll pick them up, we'll be really quick, but that's going to happen over and over and over again in all those same parking spots that are right there, which will, as Jarrett mentioned, people have to park far away. Sometimes, there's ice and snow coming down that hill. The traffic pattern, there's already been an increase coming through from Park Place being finished, coming through from 115th around to Knoll. We've got that weird spot that he mentioned between University Park and Leawood Commons, where you have to go in and around to get to that, which is an accident waiting to happen for years. And that's blocked for people trying to get into University Park because of the traffic light, and it just seems like that there's going to be a greater burden on the parking and that traffic flow, particularly morning and evening. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Jeff Holmes, 11228 Rosewood. I think there are 8 of us represented here that have been here over 30 years in our houses on that street. And obviously we love it, and we love it how it is. We love the people behind us. You know, we love those people. It's been great. Have you ever driven down that road where this building is to cut through or to do anything? I don't know who owns the actual pavement or who has to take care of that, but it is really bad. And if you get 200 cars on there every day, that thing is going to be a nightmare. I don't know how, you know, somebody's going to have to fix that, no doubt, because it's already really bad. That's it. Just the traffic's just going to be horrendous. The only other thing I'd say is I love hearing the band over at Shawnee Mission South in the mornings. I love hearing the band over at Blue Valley North, and I can hear those, even though it's music and it's instruments. I can hear those clear over there. What do you think that's going to be like with those kids right behind us? I mean, we can hear that faintly, but we can hear it. So it's going to be crazy when you have 200 kids, 160 kids in there. I don't care if they're staggered or not. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this case? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Lynn Shopper. I'm partner of Jarrett Grosteder, S&G Family Dentistry, 11313 Ash. We're the one on the corner. We share the parking lot that's going to be coming in if the daycare comes in. There are 2 concerns I have. One is coming off of 115th and coming down that street to make a left turn into there off of Knoll onto Ash. There is no stoplight there. It's dangerous already because you're pretty close to the 115th and Knoll stoplight right there. I drive it every day. I take my life into my own hands taking that left turn every day, because people come zooming by. And if people are turning in and coming out in that area, that's a nightmare coming across. And it comes right in front of our building where we have a thriving dental practice. We have 19 employees. We've been there for a long time. We're a well-established facility. And to have that many cars running across us is dangerous. There are no sidewalks there for anybody to walk on either. And Jarrett was very serious about the hill coming down and making that curve. I'm a mom. There is no way in heck that I would want my child in that spot where the playground is. That is dangerous as could be, and it's a liability to Leawood. If somebody comes down that hill, and I'd love to say that all moms are not crazy, but sometimes you're in a hurry and you come down that hill and making that curve, well, I might have hit that curb on occasion myself. Not gone over, but I could have. And I don't want my child to even be hinted at that could happen to them. Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this case?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Block.
Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Sir, I'm sorry, you've already had your time to speak. take that up with legal counsel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner McGurn. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Public hearing is closed. Any discussion from the commission, or, I'm sorry, before I do that, Mr. Buchanan, you have an opportunity to come back and, for rebuttal or anything else you would like to say before we go to discussion.
Is there anything that you heard that you would like me to address specifically?
It's up to you.
Okay. I'm good then. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Discussion by the commission. Any commissioners would like to speak on this case? Commissioner Franze.
Yeah, I would start off by commending the applicant. I think it's a really important thing to have more daycare facilities. There's a great need for it, so I recognize that and commend them for that and hope that their business succeeds and does well. Having said that, my opinion on this case is I don't feel like this use fits in with the character of the neighborhood. It's an office park. It's got office uses. It's got medical office uses. This is a dramatically different use from that. So I have issues with that. I think there's issues with the nearby properties that are zoned residential and the impact that it's going to have on those properties from a noise perspective. I also have concerns from a traffic perspective and the detriment that it's going to have to the nearby property owners and businesses. You know, I have kids in daycare, so I know how drop-off goes, and I know how people are late and trying to make it, and if you're a minute late of pickup, it's, you know, $5 a minute. There's things like that. People get crazy trying to make sure that they get there on time. So I think I've got concerns with the traffic from that perspective. We use the pediatric dental facility right there, so I know that area very well and see the traffic that's used there in the road layout. It's not ideal for that number of cars to be trying to make their way in. And I think the property as it exists now without the special use permit as usable for office and medical office use fits in with the neighborhood and is what should be there. So that's my views on it, and so I'm not going to vote in favor of this.
Commissioner McGurn.
I also am in favor of new daycare facilities within appropriate locations within the city of Leawood, recognizing that there's a need for that, and I think we've approved 4 or 5 in the last 10 years. I am also in agreement with the adjacent neighbors and the business owners that this special use permit should be denied. In my opinion, the lack of the sound protection for residents, the safety concerns, the lack of appropriate buffers, and the impact on the businesses in the area are all existing concerns that will certainly get a no vote from me.
Commissioner Carberg.
I had a few things that I had written down, and they're kind of on both sides of the issue. I sure appreciate the longevity of the people who have been there. I mean, they're obviously, when you look at how long Leawood's been around and how long they've been there, they're a big part of the community. I've never lived somewhere that hasn't changed radically, and I wonder 30 years ago in Knoll, I don't think was as big as it is. So there are changes coming. And I would think the roadway noise from Knoll would be significant. And I know in hearings like this, you know, you can bring out all the things that are an issue. The sound of children playing has never really bothered me. And if that's brought up as an issue, I'm not quite there. But I do think things like Knoll increasing and such things as that is an issue. I think there's a serious question on that berm. That was a promise made that apparently has not gone fulfilled, and I think that needs to get addressed if the homeowners are going to have a quality of life and something that they had said that they would have, that we need to somehow take that up. I also have a medical practitioner in that area, so I've been in that area a lot, and I also went over there before the meeting today. I think that parking is cramped as it is. I think it's an older lot that has not accounted for a lot of future change. And then the other issue I had is people have brought out the incredible danger of streets. Have these been called in? Or are these issues that have come up with this hearing? In other words, has the city been made aware, have the police been made aware of all that? Because if it truly is dangerous, as people say, we got a big problem somewhere. And that needs to not be decided here, but needs to get called into the right authorities within the city to address those terrible roads and that terrible turn. So overall, I'm in agreement with the commissioners there. I think daycare is needed. I'm not sure this is the right one, but I also think we can't just pull out all the stops and complaints and not have anything else addressed. We got to look at that berm. We got to look at traffic too.
Commissioner Carlberg, any other commissioners? Commissioner Fishman?
Yes. The major concerns appear to be traffic, parking, noise. I could probably get over, I could be convinced that those things are not reasons to deny the application. But there's one thing I cannot get over, and that is the concern expressed by my fellow commissioners, and that is that this is an office park. And it's been used for 30 or more years as an office park. It was designed as an office park. And I just can't get over the feeling that this use is out of character for this neighborhood. So for that reason, I will vote for denial. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, just one part I'd like to add. As a father of three, even though my kids are a little bit older, not at that stage, I do remember vividly the trying to find daycare, and I think one child we switched them up every year of their life until kindergarten, and I think they resented for us. But just to pile on with the other commissioners, it's great that we're having daycare options in Leawood. We would love to put more daycare out there, but this just isn't the best spot for it for multiple reasons. So, any other discussion? Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner McGurn.
I recommend denial on case PC 8425, Leawood Commons, Leawood Daycare Facility, Primary Plan, and Special Use Permit, Commercial Daycare Facility.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Fishman. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of denying approval to case 8425, Leawood Commons, Leawood Daycare Facility, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Case 8425 is recommended with denial to the governing body. Okay. Thank you all for your attendance this evening. We appreciate it. Going on to other business, can we get Commissioner Stevens and find him and bring him back? I saw him wandering in the hall earlier.
Is it safe to come in?
Yes, it's safe to come in. For the record, Commissioner Stephen has rejoined the commission. There is, I don't know if she's still here, we have a new fire marshal in town, and I would just, if you could come up to the podium, introduce yourself. Just your name, and did I get it right that you are the new fire marshal at least?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My name is Brittany Brown. I'm the new fire marshal here in Leawood. I've been here almost 3 months. Have not settled into the area yet. Came from Colorado, so came from Commerce City, South Adams County Fire District, so northeast Denver. We bordered Denver. Still looking for a home, but super excited to be here in Leawood. Been a fire marshal, been military, working on over 20 years of public service. Super excited to be here, and this is my first planning commission, so thank y'all for having me.
Well, welcome to Leawood. There were 4 of us that attended a convention earlier this year in Denver, so we're a little bit familiar. We got an orientation tour of the area. So
sorry. It's a little different.
Thank you so
Any
much.
questions for me?
Any questions for the new fire marshal?
Nope.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
There's a new marshal in town.
Yep.
I almost said that. I resisted it.
Well, you know I'd have to.
Any updates, Julie, on the LDO committees? And I know I have some calendar invites for next month.
Yep, you should all have some calendar invites that have been sent out to you for a few different workshops that will be coming up over the next few months. So we are just now kind of digging into the meat of it with our consultants. We just sent over kind of as staff, our first round of things that we've been looking at with the LDO that we want them to take a look at for a possible modification. So they're really starting to dig into that. The consultant on the comprehensive plan has finished their existing conditions report, so we've gotten that first piece back. We're starting to review that now. And then as we move forward into these next meetings over the next couple of months, we'll be getting into more of it. The online community survey is still open. I haven't taken a look at the responses recently, but we've had a really good response to that. A lot of good feedback so far. So a lot of good material that we can start working with and getting a good direction on where we're going.
Okay, great. Thank you. In addition to Commissioner McGurran's son getting engaged, I would also like to congratulate Leawood resident Travis Kelsey and part-time resident Taylor Swift, who are, for the record, are just a mile away from us as the crow flies. So this
They're gonna be here
afternoon,
next meeting, aren't they?
I've invited them. I did note, I looked at, after I heard people screaming in my office wondering what was going on, I did go online and did notice the engagement photo. You know, being on this commission for 10 years, I know Leawood vegetation when I know it. And I'm thinking they got engaged at his house in the back. It looked very familiar to me with the greenery. It just screamed Leawood. So I couldn't. TMZ thought the same thing, but there's no official confirmation that it was his house. Let's see. If you need anyone to test the new AV equipment, I'd be happy to. Especially up here, we have sometimes very difficult time hearing people, especially at the podium. So
We are all looking forward to the new AV equipment.
I'm looking forward to my microphone not disintegrating in front of me as well. Our next meeting is a regular session meeting on September 9th. So it will not be a work session. It will be a regular business session. Please try to make that one, especially for the business that we have going on. We will also have a secondary regular session meeting on Tuesday, September 30th. Please note the date is pushed back a week for Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Anyone have anything they want to bring up? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.